What's going on, Remedy Nation, man? Once again, we get the opportunity to come together for another midweek service. Man, this past weekend was absolutely crazy. If you haven't had the opportunity to watch, I had the privilege to preach a message titled Grown and Stuck. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know, Pastor, you're just talking about me. I'm grown, I'm stuck in my ways, or stuck in sin, stuck in this. I can guarantee you that that is not what I'm talking about, though it does include those who may be in that position, because I believe that God has something for you. But if you haven't seen it, please go to our YouTube channel. That's where all of our content is streamed, and it stays there as the service is done. But I believe that it'll bless you, because I am speaking from a place of talking to those who need God to do something. Some of you just need God to do something. And I believe that it is in that word that I preach. What you talk about? Because you guys know how I kick it. I talk about on Wednesdays, on this midweek, what we spoke about this past weekend. I like to keep everything running concurrently so I never lose you. We talked about the idea of Abraham. You know, we sung it this weekend. Father Abraham has many sons, oh, and many sons, Father Abraham. I know you at the, listen, nobody knew you can rock out to Father Abraham has many sons, but we did it this weekend. You don't want to miss it. But anyway, pay attention. We talked about Abraham, his son, and then God giving him what he asked for, but then telling him that he had to sacrifice that very thing. And we got into this idea and this conversation about sacrifice. Sacrifice. I'm going to get right back into the text and talk to you about sacrifice, Abraham, and then how that applies, how it applies to your particular life. All right, here we go. So first thing out the gate, I want to talk about this, and I'll piggyback, and I'll rewind in a second. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, or 4 through 5. It reads as such. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart. You've heard that. With all your soul, and with all your might. See, here it is. True love, and I really mean this, true love determines our understanding of what sacrifice is. True love. True love. God so loved the world that he gave. He so loved the world that he sacrificed what was dear to him. Something that, truth be told, I don't know, legitimately, I don't know if I could sacrifice my son, little Deontay. Not for God. I would hope I would do what Abraham did. But I can almost, don't hate me for it. Just charge it to my humanity. I don't know if I would sacrifice my son for anybody else other than God. I don't know. I don't know. If God is nudging me to do it, I would really have to hear from God. But what am I saying to you? True love helps you understand what sacrifice. Love thy God with all your heart, your strength, and your might. Why is that important? It is saying that is what is reciprocated from him. And our job is just to make him look good. Abraham, he loved God. And because he loved God, he understood that sacrificing what was valuable to him was nothing, because he ultimately served and loved a God that could do anything, that can give back, listen to me, anything that he thought he would have lost. This is what I said. Our issue in the 21st century is not that we don't appreciate the things that we have, or that we don't, listen to me, love the things that we have. It is that we underappreciate or devalue the one that gives them to us. Here's the gist. God is not giving you blessings so that you don't like them or that you don't love them. He gave me my wife. I believe he gave me her to love. He gave me my children. I believe he gave me them to love. He gave me our beautiful church. I believe that he gave the church to us to love. But this is where the ball stops, is when I love that more than I love him. And I spoke about it this particular weekend, but take this as a reminder for where you are going to be going in life. The giver is greater than the gift. Type that right now in the comments. Please, seriously, type that in the comments. We haven't been interacting the way that I want. Right now, type that in the comments. The giver is greater than the gift. Okay, Pastor, so would you give back everything? Would you give back everything that God has blessed you with? Would you give back the education? Would you give back the church? Would you give back the car? Would you give back the wife? Would you give back the children? Listen to me, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I believe that I would. And I believe that God is blessing that belief. I believe that I would. I believe that I would sacrifice it. I believe, and I'm trying to really come to grips with knowing that at any moment, if God makes a request, that I will give it away. I worked hard to be the pastor of the Remedy Church, but if he said no, I agree. I worked hard to ascertain the things that I have, but if he says no, I agree. I've worked hard to maybe have the marriage, but if he says I agree. So now, here's my question for you. Only one question. We're not even doing 3 today. We're just going to have one question, and the rest of the conversation we're going to have as a dialogue. But one question. Here we go. What in your life would you be conflicted to give up if God commanded you to? That's a big question. That's a weighty question. If God asked for it, what would you honestly say to God if he asked for that thing you worked for 10 years? And what I want you to do is I want you to comment with those things, not to put your business out there, but so that people know that it's not just them. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to think of some things that if God said, give me that you would kind of look back and say, I don't know. 60 seconds. Go for it. Do you understand why this exercise is so important? It's because the reason why many people have idols is because they don't understand that what they're worshiping started little and it became big. Oh, I'm preaching to you today. They didn't understand that this little bitty baby boy that they had, he started small. It was a little bit of love, but it may have grown past the love that they had for God. The car that you had, it was cool, but now it has grown past a level of love. And God is saying, listen, you know I gave it to you. And versus me just taking it away from you, would you ever put it all out online? Put it out online for me. Now, you have to understand this text. The text said in Genesis 22, it clearly stated that God wanted to test Abraham. He wanted to test Abraham. Test Abraham for what? Many of you don't know. So allow me to help you understand. Genesis 12:2. It says, I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. And I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I'm going to make your name a great nation. You're talking about one son, I'll give you many sons. Loving your tribe, I'll give you many tribes. You will be the one that they sing songs about in the future, and they'll give you credit for being the father of everything. But I can't give you this without a test. What if God promised you? What do you have? Where are you supposed to be? Do you not think you won't get tested? The issue with modern day Christianity is that we live our lives thinking that we should not get tested. I was talking to a friend the other day, and he knew a pastor, a prophet from Africa, and he was over here worshiping. He was over here working in the church, and he got to the point where he said, I'm leaving and going back to Africa because Christianity here is not Christianity tested. That I look at the pastors and the preachers and the leaders and the deacons and the speakers, and I see a certain level of contentment. Not even contentment. Let me go back. I see a certain level of settling and not going after conflict because they're scared of the test. And if they're scared of the test, that means that they may not have confidence that they'll pass it. So I'd rather go back to a place where they know they'll get tested, because the Spirit of the Lord is in the place where people are okay with the test that comes, because they understand that with every test, if they pass it, that means that they go to another level. Look back in school. The reason why you took tests is because you needed to go to another level. You needed to get to the next subject. You needed to get to the next place. And what I am saying to you is that people are okay with mediocrity in life because they are running away from the test. What are you saying, Pastor? And here it is. Your current test is for a future promise. Yeah. Your current test is for a future promise. If you want more, you're going to go through more. If you desire more, you're going to go through more. If you want to help more, you may go through more. Stop being surprised that every time you walk down these aisles, and every time you show up to church, and every time you do your devotion, and every time you read, and every time you give, that you get tested. That's just saying that the enemy recognizes that if I stop you on this level, you'll quit. If you really subdue yourself under the enemy's will versus pressing through, passing the test, and leveling up. But you do understand that with new levels, it comes new devils. The idea of giving something up is not to scare you. It is to help you appreciate and value what you have, but more importantly, value the giver. I value God, not the ring, I value God. Trent, who's holding the camera right now, I said, man, great shoes, you look great today. But even with all of that, value God. When you value Him, you will understand that gifts and blessings that comes along with Him will become normal. Can you imagine living in a world where miracles were normal because we value the one that can do the miracle versus the miracle that has been done? I value God. The beautiful thing about Jesus is written down here. The beautiful thing about Jesus that is he is not limited to one day. He will not withhold any good gifts from his children. So straighten up. And I said, get ready to receive. Why are you saying that, Pastor? It is because the reality is this. When you value the giver, the gifts that comes along with it then becomes normal. That's why I made the statement to say that he's not limited. You have to understand that he has no limitations. You have to understand that the giver deserves some type of appreciation. Okay. How many people do I have online right now? You give me the hands up emoji for this, honestly. How many people do I have watching right now that when you were a kid, when Christmas came around, you did your best to be good? My guys and I, honestly, we had a pact. Like, it was like, listen, Christmas is coming. We cleaning our rooms. We cleaning our house. We not complaining. We doing good grades in school. We're going to excel in sports. We're going to do everything we're supposed to do. Why? Because this would make my mother, my father, my parental unit, it'll make them satisfied. And they're the giver. Come here. Oh, my goodness. So if I make the giver happy, when it's time to give gifts, they'll withhold no good thing. So I even knew then that if I was good to the giver, then they would be good to me. And if the Bible is right, the Bible says, if you, being a man, will give good gifts to your children, how much more would my Father? Ooh. Which means that there's a formula to this blessing. You can't coerce God. You can't trick God. You can't bamboozle God. But I will say that there is a formula that says if you walk upright, and if you do right, and if you love right, and if you give him everything that he deserves, that at some point in time, God will look down and say, why would I withhold anything from my baby? That is truth. Love him, he'll love you. And I mean it. Sacrifice for him because he's already sacrificed for you. And he continues to sacrifice for you every day. How does he sacrifice for me? Well, you're not perfect. Every time you have a bad thought and he still calls you son, it's a sacrifice. Every time you slip up and he still calls you daughter, that's a sacrifice because it puts a budge, a nudge. It makes his name look bad. But truth be told, if I can tell you anything, God is looking at you saying, I'll withhold no good thing once you understand the power of connection. I got really excited right there. Got to kind of calm down. This is not Sunday. This is Wednesday. You guys just want me to talk about the Bible. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just get out of control. I don't even know where I'm at. Okay. Here it is. Job chapter 1 verse 21. It says, the Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. Why are you talking about this, Pastor? It is because Job was a man who had a lot. He had a lot. He had the money, as it were, the beautiful family, as it were, the beautiful wife, the connections, the networking. But when it was time for things to get stripped away from him, he had no issue with it. Even when people around him did, the Lord gives, he taketh away. But yet and still, may the name of the Lord be praised. What is this in a nutshell? Obedience. So now it starts to bring things into mind when the scripture says obedience is better than sacrifice. But the crazy thing about it is that obedience is a sacrifice. Because naturally, we want to be obedient to what makes us feel good and what's in our own nature. Obedience. Obedience is sacrifice. And what I am trying to do is help you understand that when you love Him, you'll obey Him. I wrote this down. Steps of obedience are not a means by which He can control God or ensure His holding on to blessings, but rather obedience to God and worship of Him is the end goal. When Abraham had to take his son up there, he said, you don't have to misquote me, look in the Bible. He said, my son and I are going to the top of the mountain to worship. Because he caught on to a principle that giving was actually worship. No, we're not about to get into a money game. That's not what I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about financially, though it is true. Giving of His will. Because if there's anything that I can tell you, it is not something that Abraham wanted to do. Killing his son is not something that Abraham wanted to do. So when he was obedient, he was sacrificing his will. Not our will, but your will be done. He was sacrificing his will, but he understood that in sacrificing his will, that was like worship to God. That was God saying that there is absolutely nothing that you will ever put in front of me, because this is the most valuable thing that you could probably ask for, and yet and still you were willing to give it up. And I said that this weekend, I said this past weekend, and I wanted to end on this note. You experience God at the level of your sacrifice. You experience God at the level of your sacrifice. If Abraham did not kill his son, or at least if Abraham wasn't willing to give up his blessing, he would have not experienced God on that level. He wouldn't have. Because he would have never got up there. And many of you are watching right now, knowing that there are sacrifices that you need to make, and you will not experience that level of God until your sacrifice matches your obedience. That's heavy. So today, for those who are watching, if you don't know Jesus, sacrifice your will to get His. And text this number so that somebody from our team can help you understand what that looks like. And then for those who are watching, let's be real. We're not in an era where finances are just out the roof, but yet and still, you're asking to go to another level financially. What does that look like for you? Because I know what it looks like for me. Giving. This past weekend, and I won't bore you with when, where, how, and what. I think my wife and I, on behalf of our church, sowed the biggest seed to something that we've ever sown in the world, that we've ever sown before. Why did you do that? Is it because you're resource heavy? No. Is it because you're rich? No. Is it because the ministry has everything that they want and need? No. It is because I understand that the law of reciprocity says that when you put seed in the ground, a harvest must come up. Seed time and harvest time will always remain. It's Bible. And your next level is attached to your seed. Why are you doing that right now? Because at this moment, for those who are watching, if you feel the unction to give to what we have going on, I would receive with open hands. Because I fully understand that your blessing doesn't come, it won't come just because you're putting it in church, but it comes because it left your hands. And the moment that it left your hands, that became seed. And you experience God at the level of your sacrifice. So what if I don't have it? Oh, it's not the amount. I didn't say the amount of your sacrifice. That's not what I said. I said the level of your sacrifice. There was a woman with 2 pennies. And even when you look in the Bible and you really study, the 2 mites that she had equaled a penny. So it was 2 things. It was like a half a penny. But she gave, and then God looked and said she gave more than everybody in here who has way more than her. What are you using the money for, Pastor? Let's be real. You guys have seen us work now for the last 6 months, and I believe that we're making you proud. I believe that we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're giving outreach to the community. I have meetings this week to try to find a way to get you guys a pantry here because there are too many people saying that they don't have food. This weekend coming up, you can put it up, Water Weekend is coming, and it's not just baptism because you want to maximize moments. What are you doing? You're inviting the entire community to come out to take advantage of a church that's in their community. So we're giving them free food. We're going to set up a whole theme park outside so people can enjoy themselves versus getting into mess throughout the holiday season. What are we doing? We're making sure that you have a quality message every single week, no matter what's going on. We're going to make sure that you eat well. We are going to continue to put resources to the community, put resources up so that the Church of Jesus Christ can be the Church of Jesus Christ. Give now so that we can continue to be the arms, legs, feet, hands of Jesus. Well, that's my time, family. My name is Pastor Laugh. For those who may not know, I have the precious privilege alongside with my wife to be the lead pastor. And I believe that God is just beginning. And I'm happy you're here to see how we're starting. You know how I end? I'm not going to change it unless God gives me something new. I love you. But God, He loves you way more. I'll see you soon. God bless you.